Guys, we are live. Bless up, bless up, bless up, family. Welcome to Constructive Convos, where we bring the conversation back to black. Good afternoon, good evening to my UK family. Just wanted to just say peace to the family and thank you all for joining us today. Um, Wanted to do some introductions on, who we have here on the panel and just have everyone say hello and greet the family. I think we have our sister nine, Ether nine,
Yes,
and
yes, sorry, had to unmute there. Bless up family, you don't know, man. One love every time. Come on.
our brother B2,
Yes, bless up, family. Big up, everyone. Powers.
and our brother Witness.
Good evening, one and all, and peace and greetings to our friends.
Yes, and I am Melanated Goddess, and we should be joined by some more of the family. But yeah, I wanted to kind of just start off by just talking to the family, our viewers, viewing audience, a little bit about constructive convos. Constructive convos for me has been like just an awesome group to be a part of, and but I don't do a really good job at like explaining all of what goes down in behind the scenes and things that we talk about and so forth. Brother Witness, are you there? Brother Witness, could you kind of explain to our viewers, like, what Constructive Convos is about?
Oh yes, I could do that. Constructive convos. Convos is short for conversation. Constructive, obviously, because we like to have constructive conversations. But the group itself, what is constructive convos? Well, that's basically Constructive Convos is a collective of Pan-Africanists who are dedicated to exploring solutions to social, economic, political issues affecting the Black diaspora. We like to talk about these and come up with solutions. We also like to discuss, we also have a book club as well, where we discuss issues relating to the community books that we have reviewed and discussed. I've included A Message to the People by Marcus Garvey, speeches by Dr. Amos. So yes, but our main focus is as we all come together as a collective because we all share Pan-Africanist ideas, and we really are interested in finding solutions to problems that affect Black people, not just in London or the UK, but throughout the diaspora. That's what one of the main things Constructive Conversations is about: respect to each other, no insulting or denigrating, or talking about gossip. We just want to talk about problems and problem-solving solutions. That's it.
Right. I couldn't agree more. I think one of the other key things that I find like refreshing is the fact that we don't allow religion to be a barrier in constructive combos. I want to say from the time that I've been part of the group, we've had like Christian part of constructive combos and like different types of denominations even within Christianity. We've had Muslims, African spiritualists, and we even have an atheist, part of constructive combos. And we just don't allow that to be an issue. And to me, that's really refreshing in the Black community where religion slash spirituality, ideology, whatever you want to call it, that always seems to be a barrier. But for us, we can kind of just be respectful, as you said, like be respectful of our differences and kind of understand things from another perspective. So yeah, I that's what I like. I like that about constructive combos. And I think
Yeah.
one other thing is that you know I kind of got involved with a lot of this part of the community through watching Speakers Corner videos. So I think that a lot of people kind of have that like Speakers Corner energy, where we can kind of debate. So people kind of think that, you know, constructive convos, we kind of all get along and we always agreeing on everything and, amen and high fiving on everything. But little do they know that the conversations can get kind of heated. We kind of, iron sharpens iron and steel sharpens steel. We kind of, can intellectually clash on a lot of different topics, and at the end of the day, come out of it with some kind of growth, some kind of understanding. At the worst case scenario, even if I don't agree, I at least know, I can say I know where Brother Witness stands on this particular topic or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else to add about like what they think about the group, or maybe thinking that people don't necessarily understand, or
Yeah,
because
for
we do have
me,
new viewers.
yeah. If I could just add to that, one of the great things, like for me, Constructive Convos offers is like, because there's such a diversity in skill sets, perspectives within our community, and Constructive Convos is indiscriminate to those diversities within our community. It sort of provides a sort of snapshot, um, so you can get a sort of mixed pool of ideas, and you can really test certain ideas and claims, and I mean, from a strategical point of view, move it, like trying to work out what strategy to move forward with. I think it really helps to validate plans, and yeah, I think it's good. Do you know what I mean? The diversity in the skill sets and the rest of it in the group. So for me, I mean, we've even got people within Constructive Convos that don't do the Monday night videos because that's not their interest or skill set. Do you know what I mean? But there's other avenues behind the scenes, where they're very influential. They contribute quite a bit. Big up Scattered in the back chat there. Big up Amelia. Big up Betty's Closet. So yeah, that's what it is for me. I think as well, being able to see the different perspectives of the community. Sometimes I think as
Absolutely.
well, there's a risk sometimes. Sorry, just if I add on that, there's a risk of becoming tunnel visioned and seeing things from only your perspective. Do you know what I'm saying? And whilst that might work for people who see it your way or who are in the exact same scenario as you, that isn't necessarily most feasible for the whole community. And that's what Constructive Convos gives that opportunity to measure it against the diversities in the community. Right, that's me. Sorry.
9 Ether 99. Are you still there? 9 Ether 99. Nope. I was gonna ask her. Something popped up in my head that I had to ask her, but I guess I'll get her when she comes back.
No, sorry, repeat that. I was in the kitchen. Go on, Bab. Sorry that again.
Yeah, I didn't know you listened to Fool's Paradise, Melissa Morgan. You were playing that thing. That is a badass
Witness.
tune.
Babe, I'm a connoisseur.
Okay, yeah. Fool's Paradise. People don't listen to the words. That song is a good song. It's damn brilliant. Brilliant song, man. None of these people know about music. They don't know about music, man.
That's right. That's right. I know when I was born, Witness. Hey. But yeah, man, big tunes, man. With good messages.
Yes.
But no fool about here. Okay.
Yeah. No, we should have a show where we re-educate people to proper music, but I don't know. Let's say we're being biased.
You should ask the people in the chat. Press one if you would like Constructive Convos to have a little segment talking about music. Maybe we could do that on our next live, talking about music. Because Witness loves to talk about music, boy.
Mm.
I think I'm too old-fashioned. The kind of music I want to talk about, people ain't interested in anymore.
Oh no.
So let's drop it. Let's not go down that road. Okay.
No,
But funny enough, though, we might be able to talk about music like in some capacity today, because the conversation today is about technology in its many forms and aspects and how that relates to nation building. So maybe perhaps music is an avenue that can contribute to the nation building effort. What do people think about that?
I think it's definitely an instrument that can contribute to nation building, if we use it in that capacity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In regards to the social media thing, there's something I wanted to screen share with you guys to show you. I don't know if I should.
So while you're gonna do the screen share, let me properly introduce the topic, right? So today our topic is, will the revolution be televised? Will the revolution be televised? And by that, what we're really wanting to know is, how can technology be used for nation building? Is technology a tool for nation building? What are the pros and cons of technology? So, Brother Witness is going to be preparing to share his screen and kind of get some dalil, as they say in the UK, on social media. And
can you guys see my screen? I've got it up. Some stuff.
I think B2 gotta. B2, don't you have to hit it?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit it now. Sorry. Right. Yeah.
Well, I just did a bit of research, came up with a few things. Came up with this article by USA Today, which was published back in July the 15th, 2018. It says how social media has shaped Black Lives Matter 5 years later. So when we talk about technology, I'm looking at social media. That's one of the things I'm looking at. It's not the only thing, but I'm looking at the technological aspect from social media. And there are lots of pros to it, and there's some cons, but there are also a lot of pros. And I was interested in this article. And when I was reading it, it said exactly 5 years later, it claims, it says the Black Lives Matter movement is a quintessential example of a movement that's found successful amplification through social media. According to a newly released Pew study, the hashtag has been used nearly 13 million times on Twitter, an average of 17,003 times per day. So that aspect of technology, which is social media, has been very helpful for certain people protesting and organizing rallies and getting support to protest against oppression that they feel. So that aspect of technology, social media, has definitely helped push through a lot of protests, not just within the US, but in various parts of the world. So I think it's something that should be, from my point of view, that aspect of technology is definitely pushing forward any source of rebellion, be it for racial or political or religious purposes. So that's one thing I don't think we can ignore. It's definitely very powerful. Technology can be very beneficial. It can also be detrimental, but from my point of view, with the social media, it's very, very helpful.
I think in that sense, yeah, I think technology has sort of aided and supported freedom of speech, freedom of access to information, and it's quite interesting to see the advances that are being made on the internet and censorship of content, and censorship of freedom of speech on the internet, and how that dynamic might change the whole nation building effort. But I do agree with you. I think think as far as usability, we've got so many examples of how technology has benefited us if we're going to argue it from an angle of usability, because those are its selling point, in it. You can use it in this way, it's diverse, it's accessible, it's all those things. I think in the grander scheme of things for nation building, do we think there's any negatives, any reasons for why maybe we might want to abstain from technology?
I don't know. Me sticking with the social media part, I think it is so beneficial that even the governments are afraid of it, because they seem to be shutting down, putting pressure on social media companies to shut down social media accounts of various political activists. So it's definitely hitting the powers that be, the political class, where they don't like it. So it has a power that they don't like, and so they shut it down. Some countries don't even allow it, like China. They organize their router system and their VPNs to such an extent, their proxy services to such an extent, that if you're living in those parts of the world, it's even difficult to access certain social media websites. So there's a lot of power in using it. I'll stop sharing it.
Yeah, big up everyone. Arsenal panel. Arsenal everyone. Sorry, I was late to join the conversation. I missed the first part, so I got to miss the introduction of the show. I'm not sure if you guys done any talk about like Constructive Convo as a group. I think I heard a little bit about you guys talking about Constructive Convo as a group. I'm not sure if you guys done any warm-up topics or anything, but you know me, I've got warm-up topics for you guys if you need any. Game of Thrones. No, I'm joking. I'm waiting for Eldra to pop out with that one. But in regards to the main topic on technology and will the revolution be televised, I mean, I suppose when we have this conversation, and I think it's been had quite widely, and we've spoken about it quite a lot here in the UK, especially I remember seeing a few conversations at Speaker's Corner, particularly around this sort of area, in terms of, you know, technology being, I mean, a lot of people in the community see it as a threat. They see a lot of these things as, you know, I'm not sure how many of you guys know about the whole Amazon Alexa thing, and how, you know, the Amazon hire warehouses of people just sit around and listen to people's recordings from their houses with Alexa. And so a lot of these sorts of things with technology, I don't know, I think within our community, we tend to a lot more being kind of like Luddites and kind of being a lot more afraid of technology, or seeing it as replacing human beings or being a threat to humanity. And as a result, we tend to sort of turn our back against technology. But I think that's because technology in itself has been rebranded as a word, or it's only used as a word to refer to specific type of things. It's almost like the high-end electronics. You don't necessarily look at a spade and think, this is a great piece of technology. You know what I mean? You don't look at a fork or a knife and say, this is a great piece of technology. But they're all pieces of technology. I mean, anything that helps us, any tool that helps us to do our life that wasn't created by God per se, it was created by an engineer, it was a created piece of technology. So if we're against technology, we're actually against human progression in many ways. Do you know what I mean? So I think we do have to see technology for what it really is, and not only look at it as robots and wires. And that's one side of things. And in regards to what you guys were just saying, and sorry, because I can't take away from where the topic was, regarding social media, is social media has created a huge amount of democratization and allowed a lot of people to be able to speak more, like you're saying, and worried governments, you know, China have pretty much, like Witness said, stamped out on it. Like many people have completely stamped out of all this sort of stuff. So there's a big threat there, but at the same time, as we see this week with Minister Farrakhan and all those brothers and sisters, mainly Minister Farrakhan, I suppose, what we've seen is
he got kicked off of Facebook, right?
Yeah, kicked off Facebook. So freedom of speech is like, it's a right. Yeah, you have the right to do it. I have no responsibility to facilitate it, though. And now these social media platforms have. So while they can facilitate it, once we start getting used to them, and there's a lot of people and there's a lot of research to show that people are only getting their news now from their Instagram feeds and from their Facebook feeds. And now that you're, you know, fair enough, you've given up on BBC and all the mainstream media, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm doing a lot more underground media channels. There's still some big social media entity that controls what you listen to, what comes up on your visual feeds, and all of these kinds of things. So yeah, big up M.A. Brown in the building, bro. Look, yo, M.A., I've been telling you for time. You've been like ducking me or avoiding me. Jump on the panel or something, bro. But anyway, yeah, carry on, please.
Yeah, come on, brother MA. So what about like sharing Farrakhan videos? Are they you can't have Farrakhan videos on Facebook either? Like if he's not allowed to have a Facebook profile, but what about like his content? His content is all over Facebook.
Yeah, I
You know
don't.
what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to be able to remove that stuff. To be fair, actually, but that's actually an interesting point that I didn't actually think about. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Because if that's the case, everybody should just start flooding Facebook with all of his speeches. Yes.
I wouldn't be
Flood
surprised.
Facebook with Farrakhan. Shoot, trying to censor him. I mean, so what are y'all thoughts on, like, because people are using social media to put out their different initiatives and organize and yeah, we're gonna rally around this. What any concerns as far as like people are saying too much and basically laying out the whole daggone plan on social media? Like
There's in answer to your question, there's something I just wanted to share with you, which is also important in dealing with what you just asked. I don't know if anyone can see it on my screen.
Wait for B2 to hit the button. You guys to click on it. Did you do it, B2?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay.
It should be. Can you see it?
I mean, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, it's up. It's up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I came across on Wired.com, and it says Twitter is indeed toxic for women, says Amnesty report. So according to them, they claim that she says, for many women, especially journalists, politicians, and other public figures, Twitter is something to endure. Many have accounts out of professional necessity, but the cost of their participation in Twitter discourse is often attacks, threats, and harassment. Women learn to block, mute, report, and ignore their mentions. Some tweet directly at Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, frustrated that he seems never to take the problem of abuse against women on the site seriously. He rarely answers them directly. Amnesty International considers such online abuse against women a human rights issue and has repeatedly called on Twitter to release meaningful information about reports of violence and abuse against women. I would say the same thing, but I would say in regards to Black women, there is a lot of abuse, racial abuse towards Black people, but because a lot of people take this whole notion of freedom of speech, meaning that they can say some of the most despicable things or have the most despicable organizations or shows talking about Black people or Black women. So that's one of the problems within technology in respect to the use of social media. It has its benefits, but a large amount of it can be used to attack communities. So there are benefits, but if you're putting yourself out there to use that form of technology, you have to be very thick-skinned, because there's going to be a lot of abuse and there's going to be a lot of slander that you're going to have to deal with within nation building.
I would agree with that, but I have to say that at the same time as well, I agree with that, and I think that is right. I do think like the jobs that you said that those women were in also have to be taken into account. So we're talking about politicians and lawyers and journalists. These people get a lot of abuse anyway, and then women being in those jobs, it definitely does amplify it on social media. But those people just get abused in those jobs, men or women. But I think that brings us to a slightly different conversation, which I definitely would like to have again, which is how can any man out there come out and say that there's no such thing as misogyny or misogyny doesn't exist or whatever, when you blatantly see it every day through these websites, like the type of things that like people, these faceless little Twitter eggs, say to women as jokes or whatever, it's nuts to me. So the idea that that's not going on is crazy. But that's another conversation completely. I do kind of want to just focus on the social media or technology rather, as a wider perspective. If you just think of a fork being technology, and maybe if we take it from that perspective, is there any way that you could disagree with technology being a good thing, or is it more that people have an issue with the types of technology? And
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. We have to really stipulate what forms of technology, because there's so many things within technology.
That's why I think it comes down to ultimately similar to how Scattered framed it earlier. It's either a life with technology or a life that is more like naturalistic. Do you get what I'm saying? Which almost starts to resemble a caveman sort of thing, living off the land with no technology, because everything is technologically derived, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like even for people who desire to live like those type of lives, like people who are like off the grid or such and such. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those people, they're living off the grid, meaning they might have their energy be solar power or wind power, or they may have like well water and so forth. But those people typically still have like Wi-Fi in their home. You know what I'm saying? Like because they probably still have to like work. So those people still they're not completely out from the matrix. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like so, I think it's important to have some sort of like balance. I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think it's massively important that we have balance in this. But I think also what you're saying, I think the issue is, and I'm saying this because I think I definitely would like to see anyone who has a counter opinion or counter argument, anyone who has something to come against it, or who feels technology is just generally bad. I honestly think, and maybe it's Ramadan, so I suppose making a couple religious things, but I honestly believe that when they say man was made in the image of God and so on and so forth, and one of God's properties as Islam is to be a creator, is to create. And the reality is, in my opinion, as humans, one of the many fundamental things, like the fundamental thing about being human, is the fact that we create, or that we involve of creation. Not the same level of creating universes and stuff like that. But even if you say living off grid, or like B2 was saying, living as a caveman, right? If you go off and live as a caveman, most cavemen end up doing some engineering, because at some point they find a little bone, they sharpen the end of it, and now they got a knife. That's engineering. Do you know what I mean? So they skin some animal and they make leather. It's engineering.
But though, at the same time, I think we can. I mean, just for the benefit of the convo, I think we can make a distinction between that type of technology and like electrically fueled technology, if you like.
So do you think
like a drone or something like that? Like.
So what's the difference?
I think the difference, okay, so if I was to touch on, I mean, even the people who say we should move away from a technological way of living to a naturalistic way, I think the negatives that they're touching on is the issues of dependency, the physiological and biological effects it can have on the body, like our mobile phones, for instance.
Okay.
Whilst it does allow us to have greater accessibility and convenience and interconnectivity, the radioactive waves has, there has been concern around that, as well as the psychological implications of being addicted to social media, the scrolling, the burden on the eyes, and just the rest of it. Do you get me? So I think it's more psychological and physiological when we're talking about the negatives. So something like the tools that a caveman makes isn't going to have those same type of negative effects.
Maybe not on the same level, but if I went from living in a lifestyle of where I was running around and ducking, I had to get real close to my prey, and I had to sneak up on it and stab it real, and get real through it, and I had to kill it with my bare hands. And the next second, I've got a bow and arrow, and I could stand 70 meters down the road, and I could just aim and shoot it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, I do understand that it's different levels, or there's levels to this type of stuff. But I think we've always, as humans, been doing this this movement towards convenience, which on one hand makes it easier for us. Like even just going from hunting and gathering to staying in the same place and farming, it made it easier for us, because now we just had to make sure if it's rained enough and there was enough sun, we could chill in this spot for as long as we wanted. We didn't have to go to the next place. However, in doing that, it made us live more of a sedentary lifestyle, which created more of this unevenness between people and populations, made certain people get fatter and so on and so forth. And we're doing that more and more because now we have these laptops, and to the point where people don't even have to go out their house to meet people. We can have hangout meetings like we're doing right now. And we can all end up being fat and just ordering Uber Eats and stuff, just chilling. So the negative effects are always there with technology. But we as humans have always striven to do it, I suppose, is the point I'm making.
So, but is it
I
possible?
I don't know though, man.
One sec. Has anyone? Sorry, let me cut in there. M.A. Brown, has anyone got him on the direct chat? Because I think I deleted on mine.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If anyone does, just send him the link directly, please.
Let me try to find him. Yeah.
Sorry, God, Nines, I think he was going to say.
Okay, go ahead, Nines.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Okay, so just in answer to what Scattered said, I don't think that's always has been the case in terms of what did you just say about man always striving for betterment type of thing? Or
Yeah.
Convenience.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I believe that 100% because I do believe that there's been times whereby man may have made an invention, or someone made an invention and saw that it might not be, you understand me, a positive thing in the long run, but then other organizations or whatever then take it upon themselves to, do you know what I mean, to mass produce it. So and I also believe, I don't know, because I can't, as I'm speaking to you, I can't exactly remember, like, to give you an exact example, but I'm sure, again, that there's been times in the past whereby there's something available, but that person's of a more, I don't know, morally developed or whatever to not then take it on. So, yeah, that was just in response to Scattered, to be fair. But in terms of the general conversation, just to add my little 1p, in Jamaica, they got something called technology, technology, and I'm probably gonna be I might sound a bit of a party pooper, man, but in terms of the trade-off of technology, I mean, let me even go back to the title of the show, which is Will the Revolution be televised, right? And to me, if there's anything that's going to be televised, then there will not be any revolution. You with me? Because the point being, I don't think there can be any real revolution now because of technology, because the powers that be know everything, like every single move you know what I mean? So to me, technology is actually the enemy. That's the point I'm really trying to make in it. Technology is the new enemy. Because of technology now, there is nothing that is not known.
Do you mean the internet?
All right then, let me try to be more specific. We went from analog then to digital. For me it was a wrap. You understand?
Yeah.
Because anything that's digital, not only that can it be traced, it can be stored.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? So even I mean, I might be getting a bit deep here, but and I'm trying to keep it in line with will the revolution be televised and whatever. You with me? Now, in the past, the powers that be may not have known necessarily who the revolution. You understand me? They could maybe be a little bit, moving more stealth, as it were.
Yeah.
Whereas now, they know who is who and what is what. They know they know how we think. What you understand? What I'm saying to you, from technology, they can pattern out who we be.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying to you? So, that's my little 2 pennies worth still in that, in many ways, technology obviously has brought us advancements, this, that, and the other, which, you know what I mean, it could be argued has been a positive thing. But for me, it's about the trade-off. And, I'm probably a little bit too old school, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't even mind going back to 4 or 5 channels on my TV. That's how peak it is.
So what does that mean? You want to keep the technology, but you don't reduce it a little bit, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think she made a distinction between analog and digital and the crossover into the internet era and the sort of information age. I think that's what it is. I think we're now in the information age, where before we was in the industrial age, right? And I think a lot of people were a lot more comfortable in that industry rather than the sort of information, data, hyper technology.
But not just that, though, Scattered, again, because I'm trying to keep it to the statement of our conversation. You with me? Will the revolution be televised? I think the point I'm trying to make is that I just think it'll be hard to have a revolution now, unless the powers that be wanted us to.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
I get what you're saying, 100%. 100%. But I think that's where it comes into it though, to some extent, is I believe, like I was saying earlier, and like I said, we go back and forth whether it's true or not. Because man has always been doing this, we need to improve, and they've been doing the self-driving thing to the point where, if those guys over there start getting bow and arrows, it wasn't long before me and my guys over here saying, yo, we need to get some of them bow and arrows. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like what happened with this revolution thing is, yes, the enemy has progressed into this information age where they could definitely profile us through all this information, this technology, and this data. But every now and then you can find a random autistic child somewhere in the UK or America, or even some places like Caribbean countries, who was just amazing with computers and technology and could hack all of their stuff. Do you know what I mean? So whilst they're able to monitor us and do all this sort of stuff, there is the algorithms which maybe we don't understand it, but when people are in that field and do understand it, they could definitely compete on that level, I believe.
Well, you see, and then you've got to mention algorithms now, because the next madness now is that when the fucking technology takes over the humans, and there's kind of examples of that already happening, man. So I don't want to be
AI and like human jobs and that, like in iRobot or.
Say that again, babe.
Are you talking about like AI and taking over human jobs?
Yeah, exactly. Because you remember they're programming them to be so sophisticated. I mean, look, we've already seen them flipping robot women. You understand me? It's yeah. The genie's out the bottle. I understand that.
But I'll tell you what though. Should I tell you the thing about AI is, I was talking to a guy about this as well who works in the field, is that we're actually quite far away still from having proper AI like iRobot, where it will be a threat to humanity. And there is definitely a lot of talk, even amongst people who work in the field, about the threats of having proper AI. So even right now, what we have is like...
but scattered. Sorry to cut you, babe. But whatever they're telling us publicly, they're 10, 15 years ahead. Let them go.
So, some of them are. I hear you. Some of them. But I think the AI that we have even today, like, it's not even, it is definitely super impressive and things like that, but it still needs like AI, proper AI as we know it or as we see it, and we are shown it in television and stuff like that. It's proper artificial intelligence, a computer sitting there and thinking completely for itself. Right now, what computers do, consciousness, and computers are still very far away from that. What right now all computers could do is select from a list of pre-selected options that's been given. Now, computers are getting a lot better at, following the algorithms and patterns and knowing exactly when to choose the right thing. And they've gotten so much better that it seems like it's almost AI, but it's still not AI. They're still just going through a huge list of pre-selected options and only selecting one. The big when it becomes AI is when it doesn't need a list of pre-selected options. It doesn't need any of that. It could perceive all the information on the outside world and decide for itself what to do independently of any other advice. And so, we're still a little bit far from that, from what we understand. Like I said, there is obviously, what my mom used to say, science fiction, science fact. There's definitely always, like where I work, like we definitely give a lot of money to researchers who are researching on things that are 20, 30 years in advance and giving them huge amounts of millions on things that might never even work properly. So there's a lot of people who are sitting around doing this sort of stuff. But I think, at the same time, we go to places across Africa, some of their mobile technology and some of the things that some of the people across Africa are producing, it surpasses us. And so when it comes to this revolution thing, I think, some of the best mathematicians and some of the best physicists, they're Nigerian brothers. Do you know what I mean? They're from Congo and Cameroon and all these places. So we could definitely catch up and surpass any sort of technological advancement that we see the West or anybody else has. In my opinion.
Do you know what I was just thinking? Yeah, just sorry, as a side note, yeah. Maybe perhaps as a community, the more we get into technology and producing products of technology, I think maybe perhaps the more we'll be able to remove our involvement in other sort of technological trends. See what I'm saying? So if we had our own Black-owned phone company that sourced and used good products that were designed to last, as opposed to what is currently overpriced, and isn't designed to last and is designed to have you back within 9 months. Do you get what I mean? That just means that's less money we're spending on Apple or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think on a wider community level, that could have greater implications as far as where the black money's going and how much of it is, you know, the
I was going to say
dependency.
something similar to that as well. Greetings, everybody, by the way.
Bless up, bro.
Bless
What's
up.
up? What's up?
Big up,
man.
welcome, man. Long time, bro. How you
Long time, brother. Long time. Yeah, I was going to say something similar, really, because the technology itself can be used to safeguard certain things. If like, it's funny when you look at it, you had radio, yeah, you had medium wave, whatever, this, that, and the other, and up to a certain point, those avenues of media and communication were kind of locked off to the masses, innit? Like that was an elite thing, and then it became more of a you know, people can start pirate radio stations from anywhere. The same things happen with the internet, I guess. And I just think that there's always something else that isn't on the horizon, in a sense. New vehicles, new ways of communicating. And I just think, yeah, what the brother was just saying, I agree with that. In terms of if we was to push ahead with new technologies and actually take things seriously, like true say, people can still hack into your stuff in it. Like the Russians can hack into whoever, the states will hack into whoever and whatever. But if we do it the way that we want to do it, we have a little bit more stability and safety. Because I don't think technology is going anywhere. No, it's not going to disappear. So we might as well try to master the thing.
100%, 100%. And also we have to be aware of, like, even with like some of the technology, like for example, we'll be against like a lot of this data and digital technology, and I get that it's definitely threatening to us. But then, like at the same time, we'll be like, we love our cars and our BMWs and stuff like that, and it's like, like those technologies, some like we need to get into grips with the updating technology in terms of moving away from some of those cars and those petrol. Because I'm not sure if I done it on my show, but I wanted to talk about it the other day, even regarding Extinction Rebellion and all the sort of environmental issues. But those things massively affect us. Like, if global warming is real, like I know a lot of people say it's not, and there's evidence for it not being real, etc., etc. Not really about the argument, but if it is real, the effects that it will have on the Caribbean islands, for example, would be like detrimental. So there's a massive amount of importance for us to get involved in understanding technology. Like in a place like Amsterdam, which is actually below sea level, but they managed to, with their technology and with their canals and understanding engineering, make that city work for them whilst being under sea level and not getting flooded. We're going to need people with these types of understandings in places like the Caribbean if floodings does start happening. And we know in places like Grenada, the island is already like receding in places. And also when we talk to we call it about Africa, and go like the Industrial Revolution was all good and all that with coal and oil and all that, but you know, we have the sun. Do you know what I mean? We've always had the sun, a massive resource, and we have a massive amount of space in the Sahara Desert where we could you know, have massive solar plants that could actually power massive parts of Africa just off of the sun's electricity. So I think there's a big, massively important for us to really not turn our nose up to technology and get more involved with it. But like, I do understand that there's certain parts of technology, especially when we're talking about some of this Wi-Fi stuff, that we don't necessarily know how it affects people, and we are rushing too quickly towards it. And we got all these waves running around the air, and we don't really know what it's doing, innit?
Do you know what I think as well? I think it's not so much technology as a whole overarching entity. I think it's the abuse of that said technology. See what I'm saying? I think even when Nanifa was talking about times when technology had been used in a way by I think ultimately it's always come down to an abuse by someone else, even when things have been intended to be designed for good reason, and it's either been censored and controlled away from public knowledge or sabotaged or whatever, or whether it has a negative effect on its user. I think ultimately it comes down to an abuse. I think as well we need to sort of devolve power in a lot of industries, including technology. See what I'm saying? So something like creating solar panel or solar powered tools, in some places, depending on who you are, you're going to have a lot of resistance, and that shouldn't be the case. Do you get what I'm saying? Things like seeds being copywritten, source of food for people, that shouldn't be the case. But because there's a high financial incentive in technology and implications, it's business before anything else, and the user ends up being the last consideration. You know what I mean? So I think that would need to change. I feel like that's where maybe perhaps, as well as the data, of course, the data is a huge element of the concern, I think, certainly for me anyway. This whole feeling of being in a big brother state, being under constant surveillance. Like even when you said, I think it was Scattered when you mentioned about the Alexa being in the home. Me personally, I wouldn't like that sort of setup. I know people who do have that sort of setup, but I wonder, do we consider the implication that might have for a child? Because we never grew up in that kind of setup, so that's a new thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But for a child to wake up in their home every day and there's this invisible entity, Alexa, I don't know. I just think it's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like it. I definitely don't like it. Definitely don't like it. I feel like it's too terminated. Sorry, Melanie, jump in.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think I'm kind of more on the skeptical side with technology too. I don't, certain things just I'm not so quick to just be all excited that it's making life so much easier. Obviously I do enjoy the benefits of the internet. I enjoy the benefits of having a GPS on my phone, as opposed to back in the day going on MapQuest, printing out the damn MapQuest, driving, you miss your turn, and now you're freaking lost because you don't have a GPS to redirect you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely enjoy the benefits of that aspect of technology. But I'm gonna just keep it real. When they introduced this whole like scanning thing at the airport, I was very skeptical. I'm like, I don't know what this thing's scanning. I don't know what it's doing to my body. I don't trust this daggone government. I said, no, no, no. Somebody gotta come pat me down. Come pat me down. I'm not walking through that thing. I don't know, no. And of course, it adds more time on your travel time, and people looking at me like,
Can you refuse?
huh?
I didn't know you could refuse in America. I thought they would have.
You can refuse it, and then they pat you down, and then they ask you, do you want a private room for the pat down? And I'm like, no, because then I don't know what you're gonna be doing with me in private. Like you might be beating me up in there. No, just pat me down right here, And they, it's kind of evasive, and I think that they make it uncomfortable for you on purpose because obviously that slows down the process. They have to, you have one-on-one contact, so the person literally somehow touch your private part to see if something is there, but they don't touch it with like the inside of their hand. They touch it with the outside of their hand, and then like for a woman, they go around the bra strap and all of that kind of stuff too, and they kind of just like slide their hand down your leg, just like I guess if you want to have something taped to your thigh or taped to your leg or whatever, but. It's nothing. I mean, if you ever went to the club and somebody pat you down and go into the club, it ain't, for me, it's like, all right, I'm just standing there like, I've had that happen before, you go into the club and they shake you down and they pat you down. So it's pretty much the same type of pat down situation. But that's the extent of like how skeptical I was when they introduced this whole scanning thing. I'm like, are they taking a picture inside my? I don't know what they doing, So some technology like that Alexa thing, I know I wouldn't be interested in that, knowing that. Can you imagine I'm on Hangouts and Alexa just listening to what we talking you over here, just building, and Alexa like, yeah, she writing down everything. I don't know who she's telling it to.
And I swear she's already connected to the internet. So I
Yes.
swear a man could more probably even hack into your Alexa and just have CCTV in your house. Thanks, bro. I mean, that's mad.
Yeah, man. Alexa could be watching. She could be monitoring how often your door opens, who comes into your door, into your house, what are their names, all of this stuff. Like, it's too much for me. I don't know. I'm not that trusting. But then there's some people who are even a step ahead. Like they have the sensors or whatever on their TVs. They have tape over that. Like some people really go above and beyond, like trying to protect themselves from Big Brother who's watching. So I don't even know if we can like protect yourself from Big Brother. Scattered, Mr. Technology. Is there a Big Brother?
Yeah, there is a Big Brother.
Oh, witness. There you go.
There is a Big Brother. I wanted to just there was something that was interesting in the discussion about the whole use of technology. And there was a question there that Edo Man mentioned, which I thought, yeah, I don't think we'd actually looked at that question. Yes, he said, should the question not be, what do you want to achieve with technology? Was that covered in depth? What would you want to achieve as a community? Is it just to tell your side of the story in case of fake news or the media portrays you incorrectly? Is it to give you autonomy? But then someone mentioned it's already been controlled by the powers that be. So can you really use it for your own benefit? I don't know. What do you want to achieve with technology? That's a good question. Empowerment, knowledge.
I think the immediate use from the user of technology is for like convenience and to assist. It's a tool. It's an extension of our natural capabilities with our digits, our fingers, and the rest of it. See what I'm saying? It's something to be utilized. That's in its basic form. Whether that's the internet to help us collect information or entertainment to stimulate our entertainment needs. As far as nation building, again, it's just a tool in it. So it depends on what tool, the need of the tool is. So if it's needed for comms, if it's needed for business marketing or whatever, I think maybe perhaps I don't think it's what the thing is. The technology is used for is the concern. I think it's who it's used for. Because whilst we was talking, I was going through my mind. I was thinking, as a black nation building community, if we had made something like Alexa to help facilitate people's days, help get information, keep the community connected, would it suddenly be a good thing, or would we still have the same sort of concerns? Or does our concerns come from who we suspect is controlling Alexa and maybe abusing Alexa?
I think this is where it comes into it. I think this is why we have as a community, I think, have a boogeyman effect towards a lot of technology and to understand and to understand no using technology. Because I think even when you talk about what's this thing called, like Wakanda, right? Black Panther. A lot of black people saw that and they was like, yeah, I love Wakanda. I want to build a Wakanda. And then if you look at Wakanda, it's all about technology. But I think what a lot of people said about Wakanda was that it was technology that was in alignment with nature. It seemed to work in harmony with nature. So I think from our community, there's a lot more emphasis on that kind of building rather than just building any technology just for convenience sake. It has to be convenient for nature. I think that's what people want. But yeah, I think in that regard, people wouldn't have so much of a problem. But I think people would still have a problem if they were to find out that the government was listening in on them, or that some entity was listening in on them via the Alexa. I don't think I just don't think anyone wants some random speaker in their house listening to them, or microphone rather.
Yeah,
Too late.
But it's already known. Yeah, exactly. It's already known that it happens. It's the
Your
case.
TVs,
TV.
listening, anything called smart, you're finished, man.
Yeah, come on. 100%.
But why? I
But
just
then
wanted to.
What's wrong with smart TVs?
it leaks that they've been used by secret agencies and that to listen in on people or something like that, or it's got listening capabilities.
They've
But
discovered.
aside from that, like we already suspect it in so many of our items, the things we use, and the permissions we give when we download apps, WhatsApp, the rest of it. We all know if you've got any concern about being connected in the matrix, we are well and truly connected, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just what I wanted to add, you know, just even in going in line with, in terms of, sorry to cut, brother, in terms of the use of technology and so forth and so on, and again, why I'm a little bit dubious, because there's been, for example, we know that there's been brothers, not even brothers, there's people that have found cures for AIDS. Where are they? Found cure for cancer. Where are they? That was an open-ended question. But the point, you understand me? I'm sure
I
there
don't
was
know where they are.
someone in Africa who we know that cars can run on water. Do we not?
Do we? Cars run on water. Sorry, cars run on water. Did you say?
Has there not been that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started to get scared there. So yeah, but obviously these things have not gone over into mass production or however you want to call it. So again, I'm just really noting that to say why I'm still a bit dubious when it comes to technology. You with me? Because there's ways in which we can definitely make advancements, but these things don't go ahead, and that's why I referenced AIDS, cancer, and running a car on water.
A free energy,
because obviously
as well.
that's going to take other people out of the game. It's going to the other technologicalists, as it were, so that certain pharmaceutical people, they'll be out of the game if there's a cure for cancer. You understand what I'm saying to you? But we know that these things were there. So again, I'm just adding a bit of negativity to the argument. Sorry.
You know what it is as well, though, sis? Certain things here, certain new technological advancements here, they're so huge. If they come out into mass production, they're taking out a whole industry. They're taking out a whole industry. Like, there was a time when I was watching certain videos on YouTube about free energy. Yeah, about how you can like make a generator using magnets and to create free energy. So not using no fossil fuels. That will, if that was to be made into mass production, that will eradicate the petrol, the oil industry.
Exactly.
And that obviously has huge implications for big money holders, you get me? So that ain't happening. Well, at least they're trying to hold that one back. But yeah, it's a reality of it, isn't it? So again, it's not really necessarily, when we're looking at the technologies that are available to the masses, I think within reason, it's safe to assume that it's not necessarily in the end user's best interest. There may be mutual benefits, i.e. it's convenient for you in these instances and it's convenient to the manufacturer. But more times 9 out of 10, the priority for the manufacturer is their pocket. Do you get me? And the end user's welfare maybe is just a secondary thought, if that, do you know what I mean?
So what I'm getting out of this conversation, right, is that going back to Brother MA's a point that in order for it to be for our communities best interest, it's better for us to be the innovators in the technology because the technology is there. Like it doesn't sound like I don't think anyone has put forth a firm argument that it's doable for a technologyless society or to function without technology. So is that sound about right?
Yeah, I agree. I think by this stage to go to a technologyless society would sort of disadvantage us. You know what I'm saying? I think some small groups can do it, but they've got years. The information's been handed down to them, so they're born into it, born on the road, as Shakara says.
So, but okay, so we talked about the whole Alexa thing. So I was gonna ask, what does the panel think it's going too far as with technology? Because right now we have fake electronic people that currently are developing that. We got this Alexa thing. What are some other examples that we feel are like bad technology, or it's just going too far, going in a direction that we might not, that's not beneficial for our community?
I'll tell you which one that gets on my damn nerves.
What's that?
Software technology called auto-tune. They use it too much in Afrobeats. Don't it?
I said auto-tune.
Witness, this dude said auto-tune. Like,
That's too funny.
And I think, I don't know if we've spoken about it, and I'm not really well versed on it myself, but I know the oncoming of 5G is also gonna really up the levels again, man.
What's going on now? See, I'm just out there.
You see, this is where you go into the realm of black conspiracy. I've seen so many people talk about 5G like it's the devil incarnate. I want to hear more about this. What's the problem with 5G?
I'm not even saying that though, Witness, in terms of, like I said, I'm not wealthy, but obviously, that it's a higher technology. Yeah, obviously with that, there's going to become more. I guess what I'm really thinking about is what's it called? Dirty, the dirty waves that we can't see.
Yeah.
And I guess that's really what I was.
Are you talking about what, electromagnetic energy? Is that what you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is that, all right then, obviously previously everything had wires. Yeah. Now nothing has wires. We know that all these things are, being transferred through different types of what are they called? Waves, yeah. So you have microwaves. Say that again, babe.
Yeah. What are you doing?
No, so I'm just saying that obviously we can't see them, but we're surrounded by different types of waves, yeah, through different types of technologies. Every different technology has its own wave, whether it be Bluetooth. Even in the houses now, they're trying to get everyone to have a smart meter. Yeah, get me? All these things, TVs, the new smart TVs, so they're all emitting certain types of waves that, in the long run, I don't think that can be good for us. And all I'm saying is that with the advent of the 5G coming again, that's just gonna, multiply it by how much. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, again, I'm just on the bad side of technology, man. Boo!
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen some interesting stuff about the 5G thing as well. Interestingly, similar to what Gwyneth was saying regarding the quote unquote realms of black conspiracy or whatever. I do feel like there has been a wave of a lot of these different rumors and reports that I can't necessarily, that I get sent on WhatsApp or on Facebook, or that's being discussed within the community about 5G and it's going to give everyone cancer and all this sort of stuff. It's the final part of the depopulation plan, etc., etc. And all those things might be true. I'm not necessarily finding out any information on any other websites, however. And I think I think sometimes it can be dangerous. I think sometimes I do worry that sometimes maybe we are too afraid of technology, and so we create these stories ourselves. I don't know, I'm not sure, but like I say, if 5G is that big of an issue, the question is not necessarily whether 5G is an issue, but what are we doing about it?
Well, the genie's already at the bottle, man, so there's nothing to be done, really. So it could be argued, after all said and done, it's a few-hour conversation, man. But yeah, it's peak times, man. Peak times. But yeah, I mean, obviously technology can be used, to good, but I mean, I suppose, all right, then, could I then ask the panel then, if we just try to quickly think to where we are in, the technological revolution, or what we're going to call it, is the trade-off, is it more irking on positive or negative? So you can just say positive or negative as an answer. I'll start off by saying negative. Scattered, what say you? I know your answer, but I'll ask you anyway.
I had to say positive, I guess, just from those two options.
No problem. Brother Witness?
Positive.
All right. Melanated?
Positive or negative technology. I would say I'm in between because I'm thinking of some of the social positives, and then I'm thinking some of the social negatives. You know, the social negatives, I can't choose.
Or let's try and even be a little bit more I can't think of the right word, but let's say within our community in particular then.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with negative too.
Okay, brother B2?
It's a negative for me.
It's a negative. And is brother E there or not?
Nah.
All right, cool. So that's quite a balanced thingy bob from those of us here. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. Give thanks for that.
Ask the negatives why.
You said what?
Say that again.
Can I ask the negatives why?
Oh,
I mean, oh yeah, I think you know my answer, but go on, people, man.
I'm not convinced. Yeah, I think the benefits that we're experiencing from technology are relative. I'm not convinced that people in the ancient world didn't feel like the technology of the day was sufficient. You get what I'm saying? I think for instance, when radio was all that was available, radio was sufficient. TV then became available, and now TV was the new bar and standard of requirement. Some of us have now moved away from watching TV, so we're able to let go of that. Do you get what I'm saying? I think ultimately the biggest negatives to technology is A, the dependency, and B, the commercial dependency, and how it sort of weans you into that. You even see it with kids from the shoot; they're so fascinated with phones and the rest of it. Benefits of it, the convenience, but again, it's the trade-off, like Sister said. So I think for the financial implications, the dependency, and the physiological, biological side effects it can have on our bodies, it's a negative from me. What's that thing that who was it that said, "Oh, when I go into a room of snakes, I don't try to look for the good one."
Oh, that was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
I mean,
Yeah, so
so
I would add to what B2 said. You know, I agree with his reasons, and then I'm also looking at while while technology has aided in like the spread of all this positive information and people have gotten enlightened. I feel like it's also responsible for a lot of like traumatization of our people. It spreads a lot of negative images, and it's like a very easy and accessible way to do that. You know, think about how many people have watched people that look just like them literally killed on the internet by the police. We've literally watched these people die. We've heard Eric Gardner saying, "I can't breathe." Like we wouldn't have been able to experience that had there not been this. And to think that that doesn't impact us as a people, that's just not true. You know, we can't unwatch that. We can't unsee that, unhear that. I think that a lot of the low vibrational things are promoted and it's literally put on a repeated cycle for
Well
us
said, sis.
to just ingest over and over and over and over, and
Well
it's
said.
literally bringing our community down. So although we have access to a lot of positive things, and I won't take that away, the way in which it's used as a tool, whether the programming, if you want to go with the programming is there, and our people are tuning into that low vibrational programming, and then the powers that be, that's in our what they call logarithm things, right? So now it's just pure low vibration, just everywhere you go,
Facts.
So I look at that as a detriment, when we didn't have technology to this level, families had dinner without cell phones. We talked
Right.
more, you learn things through your grandparents, you learn things through reading a newspaper. It just wasn't to this degree that we have now, and it does make you skeptical as well. What's to come? You know what I'm saying? If things have changed this much in 5 years, where the heck are we gonna be 5 years from now? You know what I'm saying? Our kids
Exactly.
gonna be able to, you know what I'm saying, like touch each other's forehead and be having damn intercourse or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, where is this society
Where does it
going?
end? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's yep.
That's
Couldn't agree
my
more,
negative,
man.
brother Scattered. That's my negative right there, brother Scattered.
All right, cool.
And I would even just to finish that bit off, I would say that we and talk about the community that we've actually regressed under the technology. That's what I'm saying.
All right, cool. I hear all three of you guys' points. I think they're all very strong and very difficult to counter or come back against. I think the issue is that what you guys are describing, I think, isn't necessarily an issue of technology, but more of an issue with humanity. And I think a quote is one of my favorite quotes. The Martin Luther King quote was, "Our scientific prowess has outpaced or outran our. Sorry. Our scientific progress has outran. Oh, sorry. Yeah, our scientific process has surpassed our spiritual progress. We have guided missiles and misguided men. And I think this is the issue that that really you guys are pointing out. The technology in itself isn't the issue. The men using it, right? So guided missiles and misguided men. We have all these tools. So for example, you guys talk about all the things about and even you putting all out the benefits melanated they have, and also there's a negatives. Now, for me personally, doing my degree course again without not only the internet, without the internet in general, it would have been a very different course and almost impossible. Do you know what I mean?
So how were people doing it before then? What course did you do, man?
You gotta let me know that. You gotta let me know my system. My system.
I believe in you, Scatter Mind, that you could have completed your degree without the internet. Just
no, but
as our ancestors did it.
It's not necessarily about whether I could, because I definitely could have. But the issue is, when you look at my reading list that they gave me every year, and you look at all the books, and you look at the price of all those books and what it would have cost me if I had to go to the shop and buy them.
What did you read? Politics, babe?
Yeah, on politics and international relations.
Right.
Internet and things like Google Scholar, and the fact that there's the entire catalog of every single book that I needed right there in PDF format, whatever. And the fact that when I'm even writing up quotes, I don't have to go to a book and write up the quote. I can actually just highlight the quote that I needed, copy and paste directly, and that saves me so much time. Yeah, sorry.
That's why I rate our
convenience.
and masters
This is the
more,
convenience argument.
Yeah,
and I don't think the cost. I don't think the cost argument is can stand up. I don't, but it's more the convenience thing, isn't it? Really.
The books.
Yes, I'm so thankful for my dishwasher.
Do you know what?
I'm so thankful for my dishwasher. I'm so thankful for my washing machine and dryer, and it has all these different settings. And yes, it's very, very convenient. However, I know that my grandmother and my great grandmother used to wash clothes on a rock, and they washed the clothes and beat the clothes on the rock, and they put it on on a clothesline,
And was that sufficient, sis?
and yes, and
Go back to that.
It washed it cleaner.
you said what?
Go back
It,
to that, Natus. Is that what how you want to spend your time?
yeah, but you lot are saying going back to that, but it's not every country has enough washing machines. Enough countries around the world, there's still hand washing.
But you said what's got in mind because my grandmother wasn't driving an hour and whatever in traffic and no congested smog, breathing in all of, she didn't have that kind of lifestyle either.
All right,
that's,
cool.
That's the key point. That's what I wanted to touch on as well, yeah. How much of it, yeah, like when you was talking about the cost of it, is that a social sort of byproduct or implication? Do you get what I'm saying? Because if the cost of that was more accessible, like because these books were accessible to the ancient world, right? Not everyone in the ancient world, but if the books were accessible and you could go through the process and learn it in a manual process, it's not impossible. If the time allocation was reflective of the effort and the time it would take, again, it's not impossible. You can still do these things. It's just the way we live and the lifestyle we live, convenience, and that to us is optimization, innit? Quick convenience. And sometimes actually the long route produces a better outcome sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But I also think that, sometimes for example,
it's dumbing down the students as well. Sorry.
I don't think so, I think we still have some incredibly smart students today.
Enough people can't cook rice. Enough people can't cook rice because of the rice cookers nowadays, I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, cool. I hear that. Losing motor skills.
Sorry. I don't know. I was just listening to you and that, you know what I mean? And obviously, well, not obviously, but we went to uni at different times. I did have to go to libraries and whatever to get physical books and whatever. Yeah. But what I'm saying, whereas obviously you could have sat in the comfort of your bedroom or wherever, and because I know some people, they done their degrees on their iPhone. I was like, wow. But
I can do that.
I think that the technology, although I appreciate what you're saying in terms of, do you know what I mean, having the access to that information and so forth, and I can appreciate you with me the how that could, you know what I mean, make the thing more easy and whatever. But at the same time, I think it does take away from the you know what I mean, the research part of it, because I think part of your learning should be about the whole. Yeah, anyway, I'm just being petty. It's all right. Big up yourself.
No, but I do understand what you're saying though, because I think fair enough. I think maybe the picture I'm giving is a bad one. When I say or I use technology to help my degree, that does not mean I did not spend hours and hours and days and nights in my 24-hour library at my university with physical books. I have no issue reading a physical book. But the reality is, if I wanted to read a book, just say, for example, I'm writing an essay and I wanted to get a quote from Marcus Garvey, I'm not going to find that book anywhere in the university, but I'll find it on Google Scholar. If I wanted a quote from Amos Wilson or some African or some scholar that is not going to be in a European university, I have access to that now because of the internet. And not only me, but like, for example, when I was growing up, went to African Saturday school, I was the only one talking about all this Pan-African stuff. I was the weird one. Right now, young people, it's cool to be woke, and that is in no doubt down to the fact that this information and all these sort of people who were once upon a time only restricted to a certain group and certain types of black people is now being disseminated across the community as a whole. So I think we got, I don't know, man.
Yeah, now that I can work with, to be fair, in terms of information. Sorry, in terms of enlightenment, information. Yeah, that I can, when it comes to the internet. So that I agree with still. Sorry.
But do you know what my only thing is? The only counter argument I can see to that, and this ain't me even looking for arguments, but really, like, we shouldn't be in a society where information is so safeguarded anyway. That information should be readily available to that information should have first and foremost come from our parents saying, yo, look, this is the story of the world and this is what it is, innit? Do you get me? It should be readily available to everyone. And I ask you, if we was living in that type of society, would that then alleviate the need for these technologies, since you're saying this is the benefit? Do you get what I'm saying?
I don't think so, no. So, for example, if we had, Timbuktu was once upon a time one of the greatest universities and greatest libraries in the world. If we were allowed to continue developing in Africa uninterrupted by the West, do I believe that we would have just kept everything just on books and oral tradition? No, I think eventually there as well, we would eventually start saying, yo, what about this internet thing? Let's start putting some information on the internet so people don't have to come all the way here just to read the book. So it can be a lot more widely available.
The
Like
convenience thing again.
a
Yeah.
100%. Like human beings we're hardwired to the convenience. But not even just convenience. We only have one life, so people don't want to spend their time doing stuff if they can do it in a shorter way. Do you know what I mean? So whilst there is there's definitely a romanticism about having a book in your hand and doing things the hard way and doing it yourself. If I can just put my dishes in this dishwasher and it washes, I'm happy to do that. Do you know what I mean? that saves time for me to do something else or just live life and have quote unquote leisure. Do you know what I mean? However, I think the issue is when we start doing those sorts of things in regardless of how they affect the environment. So having a dishwasher is okay, but in a country where water is scarce, really do you want to be using all of that water in that kind of wasteful way when you could have used less water just to wash it by hand? Or if the electric using the electricity for that is going to burn up coal, which is going to destroy the environment. So there are counterbalances to it, but I think that's the thing about us getting involved in technology, because like we saw in Wakanda, like we're quite happy to technologically progress if it incorporates the natural environment. But I don't think necessarily just because you start progressing technologically, it means that you have to become lazy now. Do you know what I mean? Like you could still spend that extra time that you have doing things that are worthwhile, community focused, focused on self progress and development. So yeah, I don't think it's always going to be a negative thing. And I think if we had our own community or our own nation, we would definitely still adopt different types of technology, not necessarily the exact same that we have today, but different kinds.
I agree with you. And I think in the grander scheme of things that you say, I totally agree with you. I think if we're looking at the snapshot that we're in now, in the part of the world that we're in, then I think what I said previously about me being out that still remains. But I think in the grander scheme of things, you're right. I think even if we was to move towards a naturalistic way of living, we do that to detox, and then eventually we will create technologies naturally. I think it's just a natural byproduct of human lifestyle. I think it's one thing that makes us distinct to animals, like our use of tools.
That's it.
Using other external objects to help us complete tasks.
That's it.
So, and that's in its fundamentals. That's the building blocks of technology. So,
if I can be a little bit troublesome, if I could ask Nanifa, what technologies would she definitely get rid of, and what technology would she keep in her ideal society? You know what?
That's a good question, still.
Or melanated as well, or even UV2.
What would I keep? What would I get rid of? I'd get rid of TV.
Really?
Yeah, I could do without TV.
Wow. So you don't like Game of Thrones?
Think about it. Do you even really need TV?
Game of Thrones?
TV is just like that company that never leaves, like that you don't even have to ask for. It's just there. Like I would rather choose what to watch, because the internet, anything you can watch on TV, you can watch on the internet. So
I have you saying.
To be
fair, I'm mostly
obsessed with this Game of Thrones. He said, "Wow." You ain't even, and he only pick a show that's all black. Man, come on. They didn't come with that damn Game of Thrones.
Yo, Game of Thrones is not black. That's true.
Nah, you gotta tell me about a show with like some black people up in there, man. This little sprinkle of, you might as well be telling me you watching. I don't even know, because I don't even know these shows. I can't even come up with an example.
Friends?
You see, I can come up with an example, but I like Game of Thrones. But I can come up with an example of a TV show that I watch that shows black men and black women in a very positive light. It's called The Good Fight, and it's a legal drama, and it's a firm that's run by black people, and the lawyers are black, and you see the trials and tribulations they go through dealing with politics and legal affairs. So I watch that. I enjoy it, but I also enjoy watching Game of Thrones.
It's called A Good Fight.
The Good Fight, yes. It's on season 3 now.
And it only has one black person in it.
No.
One of the main characters is black.
No. A lot of the characters are black. It's based in a black law firm.
Okay.
Black law firm, and he just sees the politics of what they're dealing with. They're based in Chicago. The politics. He tries to bring in modern day political situations in stories. Deals with race. Deals with politics. The Good Fight. It's a good show. Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
see?
We need to be talking more about this, telling everybody. So now on Scattered Mind Show, we're going to be talking about The Good Fight, right?
Yeah, but you know our people, they don't want to watch that. They want to watch trash like, what's that stupid Cookie or what's the name? What's
Empire.
It? That's the one. That's what they want to watch.
Well, but you gotta make it. You gotta make righteousness popping. You know, that's for us to do.
What's it called? I wanted to link what we're talking about as far as the technology, yeah, and perhaps the dependency on technology to a conversation we've had previously about possession.
Oh, well, definitely people is possessed because let me tell you, I work in with young people, and they can't even concentrate in class without touching their phones. And when you tell them they can't use their phones, they say, "Oh, I was just checking the time." You wasn't checking no daggone time. You was checking notifications. It's like you know what I'm saying? It's like they're just obsessed. They got like some sort of impulse that every couple of seconds they need to check an impulse. I mean, they need to check their phones, and it's really, and it's adults too. Adults have the same, addiction.
Yeah.
But technology could be good in the nation building for bringing black men and black women together through dating channels via internet technology.
There you go. Find your boo thing on the internet.
Get married and start a family, yes, but it has to be wholesome dating, none of this booty call nonsense.
Yes, wholesome black love dating.
But I notice most black folk don't have a problem with technology when it comes to making music, using technology to make music. Going into the studio, making all kinds of noise, then technology.
Witness that noise. Sometimes it's not noise.
That's what I'm saying,
music forever.
Make art. What do you mean noise?
That techno stuff is definitely noise. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. That techno stuff is definitely noise.
Modern day techno, yeah, I might agree with you, but stuff from the 70s and the 80s and early 90s techno then was more soulful. It had a lot more soul in it.
I hear you, brother.
Tell them.
I know some of our brothers, sisters, unfortunately, have been using technology for negative things. Like there's an old-fashioned, well, not an old-fashioned saying, there's a saying in a certain part of the community when someone gets caught lacking. And internet technology and social media technology is being used as certain people rush up on certain people to physically assault them and use technology to promote negative images, which are detrimental to their community. But yeah, there's one of the disadvantages of social media technology, which is part of
Nah, but that was before social media, though.
No. Listen, they have a situation. Well, this was a couple of years back, maybe like two years back. You guys familiar with Starkeisha?
Starkeisha. No.
Starkeisha. So Starkeisha was this girl, a young teenager. She got her friends to record a fight, and she's standing there talking to the girl. This is over a boy, and she's standing there talking to the girl, and Star Keisha, like, just, you know when they say she stole her, like that, like she punched her. She caught her off guard and punched the girl so hard, and just commit to just beating her down, kicking her and everything. And they have it on video. And so after that, which her getting punched and beat up was already like very embarrassing, and you know, it was already just a horrible situation. But the video went viral, right? So then it became a slang when you got beat up. It was like, oh, you got Star Keisha, you know, or don't let me have to Star Keisha you. And then the young girl who got assaulted, she was bullied, she was teased, she was made fun of. Her picture was all over the internet. This young lady committed suicide.
I swear.
Yes, real life. She committed suicide. Absolutely.
Okay, I knew about that Sharkeisha incident, but I didn't know that girl committed suicide.
She just couldn't handle the bullying. She couldn't handle, like, you know, when somebody says like, yo, you done your career, her career was done. She just couldn't, you know, like, what are you gonna do? Move? Your parents just gonna pick up and sell their house and move somewhere? Like, and how do you hide from social media? How do you hide?
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, all the teenagers, you know, would be like, they would have been able to point her out. Like, her face was like, oh, you that girl got punched in the face, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she couldn't do anything, and she just couldn't, emotionally, she couldn't take it. So, like, those are some of the, you know, it would be one thing if that was just like a fluke, just a one-time thing, but those are the type of things that are happening all the time with the social media stuff.
No, to be fair, that is true. That's definitely true. Social media does have a negative effect in those regards. I think when the question was asked to me, it was asked, you know, negative or positive, like a dichotomy, like choose one or the other. I think it's a lot more nuanced. There's good and there's bad, but I think the possibility for technology and for human technology and progression to benefit us as a community and benefit our revolution, in my opinion, offers us far more positives than there are negatives. I think if you ask how we're using it right now, or our education level in regards to it, makes it a negative. But I think on the whole, it's a positive, and I think we need to start investing more time in training and learning about this stuff. And that's why I say we have to look at it positively rather than negatively, because if we keep looking at it negatively, we'll never really catch up or get involved with it, and we're always going to see it as like the enemy.
I just thought of another positive.
Go ahead.
If I go to the gym and my cell phone dies, I just leave the gym. Like, I can't work out without it. Like, I just can't. I need the music, you know, and yeah, so it's very necessary for my physical health. Oh, I've been on a machine and my cell phone just died, and I'm just like, man, F this right here. I'm out. Like, I just lose all motivation.
No, that's true. That's true. For me, not like that at the gym. Like, I don't really like music at the gym, but like if I have to take a long train journey somewhere or a bus ride and I don't have headphones, yeah, that'll kill me.
Yes. Oh, you don't listen to music in the gym?
Nah, not when I'm working out. I mean, they got music playing anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's never anything I would listen to.
Yeah, no, but I'm not really listening for the music at the time.
Oh, that's why you don't like to go. You need to get you some soca or some Afrobeat and get it popping.
I'll try that one time.
Yes.
You know, another benefit I was just thinking, yeah, with the technology, I feel like it's made the world a bit smaller. Like, I feel like although we're a bit more separated, like the examples you talked about, being at dinner table, on the phone, I feel like at the same time we are a lot more connected. So something could be happening at a place that is physically far away from us, an earthquake back home, for instance, and now we can hear of it a lot sooner. Or there could be an impending threat, whether that's a flood or something, and technology allows us to get early warning of that. Do you get me? So I think in some ways it's giving us greater control over navigating the planet and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural disasters, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think like earlier when Mene brought up the point about having to drive in like a smoggy traffic and stuff like that. It definitely is a negative, but I think the positive is that, you know, if we do get green electric and green cars in the future, and not just that, as we get to the stage where people are more and more able to work from home and not go into the office, we're gonna have less traffic and we're gonna have less needs for people to be out, and we'll have probably possibly a much cleaner environment, possibly if we do technology right. And that's why I think it's about the kind of technology we have rather than technology altogether.
Why don't they just do that? You just gave me an idea. You see, instead of the AI, yeah, you see a nice compromise between the two. Why don't you just have people, real people, controlling the AI remotely? So it's still working off consciousness, or it's being fueled by consciousness. It's just remotely operated
I think they
robots.
sometimes do that in certain places. Like even like for example, with Tesco, you have them self checkouts. You'll have one guy sometimes standing there making sure it's all running okay. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, but I'm talking about that guy being at home looking at it from a screen.
yeah, that's another thing. I mean, possibly they could get to that eventually. I think.
So what if the guy was looking at it from the screen and like, so what would the AI do? Like, what if you was like taking your merchandise and running out the store? What they gonna do?
That
Beat you
store
up?
goes into security mode. That will swallow you up. That'd be a good movie.
That AI gonna start just kicking your behind, right?
But do you know how deep it will
You
get?
up.
It'll get so deep, yeah. The customer will get an AI shopper, so it'll be robot serving robot, and then they will deliver at your crib. That'd be mad.
That would be crazy.
They'll have a little AI security drone just floating around.
Yeah.
But you know what? They've been planting that seed. They've been planting that AI seed for forever. Y'all remember the damn Jetsons? Did they have that cartoon over there?
The what?
The Jetsons.
Jetsons.
The Jetsons is a cartoon from long time ago. I was little, and they had the Jetsons was like a family, but they had a robot. They had a couple of robots that lived in the house. Like the robots were like the maid and the butler, and like they would just like throw their laundry in the robot mouth, and then it would just like go through the body and come out all folded up and clean and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you know, it was like back in like futuristic. They had flying cars and all this other stuff. The Jetsons.
Yeah, humans have been dreaming about this sort of future for a long time.
I wouldn't mind a flying car, man, because traffic is freaking crazy.
Convenience.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I could just like not need a car. That would be good too.
But how would you get this? America's a big country.
I don't need to go all over America. You know, give me my 40 acres and a mule. I just, you know, I'll be very fit, walking or riding my bike wherever I needed to go. We probably would have way less heart disease and diabetes in the United States if we did all of that. You see
But what about things like produce? certain herbs and things that or regional.
Yeah,
You'd only be able to benefit. You'd only be able to benefit from the regional products in your area, and not necessarily like you'd be able to have herbs from Brazil.
We could have like like commercial
Technology to
vehicles,
commute it.
like commercial vehicles. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
like right right now it's like mass used. You know, like you get
everyone
on the
has to have.
highway and it's 1,000 cars on the damn highway with you. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
So it's difficult to see a world without technology, isn't it? It's almost impossible, isn't it? But what you're talking about is like a reduction where it might not be as necessary.
Yeah. So when you think about how big, like we know about the areas that we are heavily densely populated. When you think about like how vast the world is, and areas where it's still uncharted, like and people are thriving there, and they don't have half of the things that we have. But for us, it's like we couldn't imagine not having these things.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like we complain about how hot it is and we need air conditioning, and there's places right on the freaking equator, and they don't have any damn air conditioning, and they chilling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit like as well, yeah, how complicated childbirth is now, and how women aren't allowed to touch this and ain't allowed to do that and ain't allowed to do. This makes you wonder, like, rah, boy, how did they used to have babies before?
I mean, let's be fair, with great difficulty. A lot of women, I mean, I'm not sure about the rates in Africa, to be fair, so I don't want to get, like, obviously say anything wrong regarding that. But in Europe, childbirth for women was a massive killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've seen a video though, yeah, of like some village tribe performing like open brain surgery.
Wow.
No sedative, no nothing. Man's awake.
Nah,
And
stop it.
nah, for real, I seen it. I can't. It was on Twitter still. But that's another thing. It's like I've heard people come from the angle of like the ancient world was far more technologically advanced than we give credit for, and actually maybe perhaps we're only uncovering stuff that had already previously been understood.
I believe that.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe that the whole illusion of us being technologically advanced is actually a fallacy, and it's relative to our time in comparison to our directly elder generations, i.e. our parents. Then it appears we've made great advancements. But in the grander scheme of things, perhaps these are technologies that were already, because I've heard all kind of crazy stuff, like the pyramids were used as a means of travel. That's crazy. Like an airport. The pyramid is an airport. Craziness. But
Yeah, I heard some crazy stuff too. I mean, the interesting thing about the pyramids is like the lack of like you call it like carbon on the ceilings and stuff like that. Like if you're burning fires in the room for a long time, you get black marks on the roofs. Do you know what I mean? In the pyramids, they don't have many of these marks. Do you know what I mean? Or any, to be fair. So there's a question about how was they getting lighting inside here? But these are like you say, these are wide questions. I mean, yeah, I mean a lot of people have that view. I mean, even amongst certain views and scholars in Islam, there's a viewpoint of there were far greater technology civilizations prior to ours, which are no longer in existence. So it's something that's well thought about. I think technology is good. It's just about the right technology, and I think the more people we have, who will have qualifications and have understanding of how these things work, the better it will be for our community. But I think, I just don't think all technology is good technology. I think you're right. Like for example, when Nanifa said, there's people like, for example, the invention of gunpowder and guns, right? the Chinese had it for ages, and they were okay just only having the occasional sort of weapon that they made out of it and not using it on mass level. When the British got the gun, they're like, whoa,
Exactly.
So,
And the rest is history, Tarated.
to be fair, yes. Definitely, the rest was history.
What is it?
And I'm sure as well, I mean, because I can't remember in the recesses of my mind, but I'm sure even in ancient times, yeah, there was technology that we know now, but they called it magic and stuff like that, no? Anyway, forget that.
Yeah, I mean, alchemy, for example, was seen as magical, and in many ways, that's just chemistry and all these types of things. So yeah, you're right about
that. Yeah, man. But I guess, I mean, going forward, I mean, I do agree with what Scat says about, you know, like I said, the genie is already out of the bottle and it's not going to be returning anytime soon. So I certainly agree that we need to really be trying to insert our, you know, children into, you know, technological positions and so forth and so on. That's definitely, I think, something that we should be looking at as parents and that. So even myself, I've just put my son on a little STEM course in primary.
Nice.
Yeah, and in his primary school, and also like a little like coding classes and that.
Yeah.
So as much as you hear me saying me a bonnet blood cleat, obviously I know going forward, you understand, and I myself done a little bit of technology at uni and whatever, and even compared to what I done to now, it's just a mazza still. But yeah, man, let's just try and be a part of the well, not revolution, but let's be a part of it and not get left behind anyway. That's the point I'm making. Cause it's here to stay. So there's, I mean, going back to even what Scott was saying about certain little conspiracies and so forth, which ain't necessarily going to do us any good in the long run if we don't jump onto, you know, car. We could get left behind. So I just think it's important that all what I'm saying, and I hope I probably might sound a little bit contradictory, but the point I'm making is, yeah, burn technology, but it's here to stay, and make our youth them get involved and get paid and be a part of the revolution. That's my point. But burn it same way. But no, but do you know what I mean? No, it's, you know, we obviously we've spoken about the you know, positive and negative effects and so forth. But I guess we all know that it's not gonna stop, right? I mean, it's just not gonna stop. So we might as well be a part of it, man, in that respect.
No, I hate you, sister, man. Like you say, bonnet, and like there is definitely negative that we have to be aware of it. So even if we are part of it, make sure we're clued up as to what the negatives are. And even like you say, if a son gets in and he knows about it, he might be able to come and tell us, like, because you know, there's people like you say, like Facebook, don't let their kids go on their websites. Do you know what I mean? They create them, but they know from the inside details, bruh, my kids ain't never gonna use this sort of stuff.
Trust me.
So if we have people
like Steve Jobs, I was reading an article, he didn't let his kids use none of the Apple devices and that.
And you just see the clip where they was interviewing that Mark Zuckerberg dude, and he had a sticker over his camera. I said, yeah. Yeah, man. But it's true though. I mean, we're going a little bit off track here, but just in terms of you know, creators not allowing their children or loved ones to deal with their creation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just going back to the old film CB4. Is it CB4? Is it CB4? Not Cell Block 4. What's that?
CB4. I'm black, yo, and I'm black, yo, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, yo.
Yeah, right. So, and this is something that I always used to use with them. So you remember if it's the same movie, there's like a record producer, yeah, or a record.
Yeah, Jewish record boss.
Right. Yeah. And remember one time he busting on his son dancing to the hip hop music. Remember?
Yeah, it wasn't kosher.
Say that again, babe.
The Jewish boss didn't see that as being kosher when his Jewish son was dancing to Black American hip-hop.
Exactly. Although he's making a hell of a lot of money from it. So I'm just using that again just to show again about, you know what I mean? Not necessarily that all creators agree with their creations, you understand what I'm saying to you? But Again, I know I went off top. Sorry, Scattered.
No, they just doing that. They just doing that. Anything to make the money. You know. Anything to make the money.
Yeah, and not necessarily. That's why I think someone posed the question at the beginning. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I think it was like, what are we using technology for, or something along them lines? In that and again,
Brother Ado question. That was that Brother Ado.
Yes, it was. It was Brother Ado's question asking, what do we actually want to achieve with technology?
Right. Exactly. And I think that's a really, really, really good question within this whole kind of discussion, because I mean, on another day we could then sort of maybe look into the different technologies and see and ask why they were, you know what I mean, why they did come about. Were they necessary, or was it just a commercial venture, as it were? But anyway, I could go on forever. But yeah, man, big up people. But I want to ask Witness one question before I come off. Sorry, Melanated. Can I just quickly ask Witness one question? Sorry. Sure. Well, it's not just Witness, but Witness, Area 50, whatever they call it.
51.
Is that true or false? Yeah.
Oh, it really does exist. The place does exist, yes.
Okay. So then with that, do you believe the other stories that come with it, Witness?
I want to believe it, but I don't have facts. But what I do know is Area 51 really does exist. It's a restricted zone. It belongs to the Air Force, military, so you can't just go there. But a lot of people believe there are a lot of things that take place there over the last 40 years, and they believe communication between certain entities have been taking place. There are all kinds of tests, but it's hard to prove it because it's like a restricted military zone, basically.
Cool, excellent. So I'm glad that you even went into a little bit, a little bit of detail and so forth. So one of the things that has been argued or proposed from that whole thing, and again, this is going back to the earlier part of the conversation, family, is that, now remember, this is not me saying it, yeah, before you lot start trying to send me pills and that, yeah, but there's a theory that there was a time where there was what would you call it, a visitation around that time or whatever. But what they're saying is that there was like one set of visitors, as it were, but there was another set of visitors, yeah, like this sounds so mad even talking about it, but yeah, you know what, forget it, right? I'm gonna talk it.
The story that says when the visitors came, one group of visitors introduced themselves, and a deal was made with the US government saying, sure, if you exchange technology with us, we will allow you to conduct abductions of human beings, but you should tell us the people you're going to abduct, so we have data on it. And another group of aliens came and said, we want to help you and stop you from killing yourselves. And then when the Americans asked for technical knowledge, they said, no, we're not going to give it to you. So the Americans ignored them, did business with the other group of extraterrestrials, but those guys decided to basically abduct as many people as they wanted, and they only passed on very small amounts of technological knowledge. There's that story.
Thank you, Witness. Yeah, that's exactly the story that I wanted to give. And again, it's just to bring it back to the issue of technology. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the good technology and the bad one. Yeah. So in that story, yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to, I've lost my train of thought now. But earlier on in the discussion, we was talking about, different types of technology and their use of it, etc., and whether it's good or bad. And again, so that's it. So really, whilst Witness just gave that that story or whatever you want to call it, I'm just trying to use that to say that it's not necessary that the technology that we are now using is good. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. And that it could be argued that there was a better technology that was available, but like Witness just described. Anyway, family, forget that. But thanks for that, though, Witness. I'm glad to know that it's not only me that,
You're talking, yeah, some people talk about the technology and the frequencies it creates, that it creates certain negative frequencies which affect the way human beings interact with other human beings. something invisible, the various electromagnetic waves and the various things which are propagated by various technological equipments. I mean, I get worried every time I walk past a telephone mast, not telephone, what's it, mobile phone. You know, you need those big, long masts, M-A-S-T.
Yeah.
And they're giving off all kinds of stuff you can't see, but it's affecting your body.
That's what I was saying before, brother Witness. Thank you. And then just to add to that, the ones within the home itself, Witness.
Yes, which is
You know what I
why
mean?
you should make an effort to switch off your mobile phone when you go to sleep. Don't let the electromagnetic energy. That's if you believe it. But yes, I've heard of that discussion before. Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't think there can be any argument when you think about it logically, because these things must emit some type of signal. Do you know what I mean? Well, they not even that they must, they do, because we can see them on I can't remember what the machines are, but the different, what are those machines that show you the different waves?
Oh, I've forgotten them, but you see,
But
yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
probably I'm just thinking in a house now, you've got your TV. I don't know, is the skybox probably not too much there? I would tell anyone, don't get a smart meter, because that's definitely, what else? Microwave, your phone, the Bluetooth, wireless.
Yep, it's all there. There are people who are actually allergic to this stuff. So you can imagine life is very difficult for them when they walk out of their house or their flat. The magnetic energy in the air from mobile phones, smartphones, from telephone masts or from mobile phone masts, 3G, 4G, it affects them.
They're
They have
allergic to it?
yeah, they're affected by it. It's a rare form of allergy. I've forgotten the name of it, but yeah, there's some people who are affected by it. It must be a real nightmare for them.
And then we ourselves are also thinking, aren't we? We ourselves, we have certain electro whatever running through ourselves also, right?
Yes, we do have electricity in us.
Exactly.
That's why when certain people die, they try and jumpstart your heart with an electric shock when they use the defibrillator, and they say clear, boom, and then they charge you just to yeah. So yes, we do have electricity flowing through us. Yeah.
So we're all in one big fuck fest, man. One energy, you know what I mean? Excuse my language, but when you really think about it, though, it's a serious thing, man.
Yeah,
and
it is.
The 5G is not going to help in terms of the emission of what we're talking about. You know what I mean?
So check this now, yeah. So as far as like removing technology from it, yeah. Do you think the revolution will be televised? Just to that question, what does the panel think? Yes or no?
I think
yes, but they all know about it in the first place.
Yes, yeah. And they'll do what people say is fake news. They'll try and paint a different narrative to mislead people as to what the revolution is about. So it won't look like a revolution. It'll look like a bunch of people stealing and doing bad things. So that's...
Thank you, Witness. Because I was going to say they'll turn it into the Hunger Games or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that, I can't remember their movies, but you know them ones where everyone's just watching carnage happening. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what.
Like Purge.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not seen that, but I've heard about it still. But yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it will be televised. I think especially because a lot of people won't necessarily be aware of what's going on, even though it's going to be televised. And right now, we're trained that when we feel like something important is happening, we record it, right? So there's going to be a lot of people trying to record the moment while it's happening. Unfortunately, not really being smart, probably giving up their location and all this, sending out signals of where they're located and everything else. But I just feel like I think there was a video where there was some sort of like not a bomb threat, but like the police were coming in to apprehend someone, and this young black boy is like his first response was to record it, and he's like, hey, these people say, like, he turned the camera around, you can see his face, and you can see the police behind him, and he's like talking, maybe he's on Instagram or whatever, and he's like, yeah, they came to save the day, I'm all right, blah, blah, blah. Like, like, he didn't even, like, do this afterwards, like, hey, let me tell you guys what happened to me today. He's like, I gotta report this. And I think that that's what will happen when the revolution comes. Like, people are just gonna go live. That's the programming right now.
Mm.
He said,
No, I agree. I do think I think with this, the whole YouTube culture, journalism's extremely accessible, isn't it? It's in everyone's pocket now, isn't it? So I think aspects of it will be televised through the internet like that. But I do think, obviously, for the strategizers behind revolution, there needs to be some sort of safeguarding for key aspects that you want to be able to control the accessibility to that. Do you know what I mean? But I think, yeah, most parts of it, it'd be hard to it will be televised, I do think. Yeah. But then again, I guess I wonder if that leads on to a bigger conversation about what that representation looks like and how the revolutionaries maintain control over their public image. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously that could be used as a mechanism to undermine, like what was being said by Witness and Nanifa, could be used to undermine the mission, the goals, and the values if they've not got control over their representation. So, but yeah, no, it's been a good conversation still. In the chats, let's see what's going on in the chats, because we're coming to or did anyone else want to add to that?
No. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just tuned out a little bit to have a phone call in the background, so I missed a bit. But I heard you talking about representation. But maybe that'll be a good place to pick up next week. I'm talking a little about representation across the board. But I'll let you further the show. But yeah, you was about to go to comments, so I'll let you do that.
Yeah. So, what else? Cool. Sci-Fi Living said, "Melanated Goddess, when you go into the UK, bless up Sci-Fi Living. Big up if you're still up there.
You gotta hit me up, sis, so we can plan our trip."
Yeah. Anonymous in the chats. People in the local area should know basic first aid. Some people will know more advanced stuff. The unnatural and perverted procedures are eradicated at the same time without electronic tech. I think that was about some earlier points we was talking in discussion. It's a shame these things aren't really time stamped, these chats, so you got an idea of how, how long ago these. But yeah, big up, bless up, brother Ado for passing through in the chat, sister, Sci-Fi Living, Anonymous, M.A. Brown made an appearance on the panel.
Yeah, bless up.
Dedra Magu, I hope I said that correctly.
Deidre Magu.
Deidre Magu. Too much EMFs. EMFs. What does EMF stand for? Who knows?
EMF?
Hard with us. Yeah,
electromagnetic spectrum, I think.
Oh, frequencies, yeah.
Oh, F. Okay, F. Yeah.
Ada was saying people often misrepresent AI because of things like Terminator, scattered minds. The holy grail for AI is a machine that is able to learn and fulfill tasks, but it needs guidelines. So obviously that was in relation to the whole AI segment of the conversation. He also then went on to say, what about using technology to decentralize power and make people personally accountable? Okay. Betty passed through. Bless up Betty for passing through. Big up. B1 for life. Big up for passing through as well. Amelia passed through. Big up for that. So yeah, big up to everyone that passed through in the chats as well, showing that consistent support. It's appreciated.
Yeah, bless up, fam.
Thank God for the comments.
That's what's up. So, I forgot to do my housekeeping. Forgot to tell everyone to make sure to like the video if you pass through, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Constructive Convos is said to be doing some pop-up midweek videos, and, we never know when we're going to go live, so make sure you hit that that notification bell so you can get notified when we are live, because our conversations stay constructive over here. Stay constructive.
All them things there.
You said what?
Stay constructive, stay positive, all of that.
Yeah, constructive, positive, pro-black, pan-African, black family loving, all that good stuff.
Ooh,
And make sure you subscribe to the channels of the Constructive Convos members. We have a lot of different members, and they're doing different things, but together we come together like the Transformers, and we make Constructive Convos happen. But make sure you subscribe to Scattered Minds podcast now on Sunday afternoon after your rice and peas. You can get a little bit of bread pudding or corn pudding or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Keep
over
it
there. Yeah, some dessert over there at Scattered Mind Show on Sundays. We got Brother Shakara Speaks. Make sure you subscribe to Shakara Speaks and subscribe to Got Kush TV. Brother Terry show, Black Ice TV. Who else I'm leaving out? Leaving out anybody?
Cushy Cosmetics.
And Cushy Cosmetics. Make sure you subscribe to Cushy Cosmetics and hit the notification bell, because my sister gonna be going live.
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Coming soon with them tutorials, ladies. Gonna get your makeup all fly and everything else.
That's it.
Yeah,
So I think we gonna call it a night, fam.
Yep. Bless up everyone for passing through. Big up everyone on the panel.
Respect everyone, yeah, in the panel. Love to all the commenters, all the viewers. Yeah, it's been a good show, man.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Peace, everyone. Peace, fam.
Yes.
Love.